Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to the weekly Watchlist video sponsored by MarketSmith. And this week we have a ton of different charts to go through. We've got 18 stocks on my focus list. There are a lot of setups to choose from leaders who have already broken out that are now pulling back into potential support and moving averages, and also a bunch of stocks within their bases forming nice potential low risk, high reward setups at handles and other base pivots. So as always, we'll go through both the fundamentals and technicals of all the stocks on this focus list. And if you do enjoy this video, please go ahead and leave a like down below and subscribe if you're new to the channel. And let's dive right in and start with Bntx. So overall, a potential high tight flag from these lows here, pulling back to the 21 EMA on below average volume. I'm watching for a break of this downward trend line or potentially a 2-2 reversal here. And I love the upside reversal bars on Thursday and Friday when the overall market, a lot of the growth stocks were experiencing some weakness. If we go to the FFTY at this point, you can see that this day it was down 1.5%. This day a further 1.7%. So overall, this was experiencing relative strength versus a lot of growth names. You can see fantastic earnings expected for this year. A little bit of a decrease next year, but we'll see what happens with these estimates. And overall, you've got a nice increasing trend in number of funds and one high quality fund in there as well. So that is Bntx, a potential high tight flag here with an early entry through this DTL. And moving on, we've got Crowdstrike. And overall, you can see fantastic earnings, sales, margins growth down here. Great estimates as well with estimate revisions upwards as well. And this is forming a nice high handle right above the stage 3 standard pivot of 251.28. So I'm watching for a move through this high set on Friday, as well as these highs. And yeah, I want to see a breakout on volume, and that would be potentially actionable as well. Moving on, we've got Docusign, another stock forming a potential high handle here above this level. It's also right above this 275 level. And I'm watching for a pullback consolidation, maybe another week or two. Hopefully an undercut and reclaim of this to shake some people out who are using this low right here as their stop. And that would also let this 21 EMA, this purple line, catch up to price as well. But overall, a super powerful move from this earnings breakout. And you've got a nice gain of 267% in terms of annual EPS, or actually quarterly EPS. And of course, down here, you can see great earnings, sales, margins the past few quarters, great estimates for this year and the next, a nice increasing trend in the number of funds and for high quality funds in there as well. So what I'm looking for is some consolidation here, then potentially a breakout through these highs before the standard pivot of the stage 2 base at 290.23. That if we go to a weekly, it's set all the way back right here in 2020, September 2020. So that is Docusign. Moving on, we've got DDOG, and this is forming another longer term base here. It has undercut this prior base. That's why we have a base stage reset. So this is a stage 1 cup. And going over to a daily chart, it's forming a really nice handle here. Had a 2-2 reversal on this Friday, so I'm watching for fall through these highs on volume, and ideally really strong volume. And that will let you get in before the standard pivots of 119.43. It is a little bit deep here at 42%, but overall, I like this longer term reset. And we've seen a lot of stocks like this, Nvidia, Amazon, start to move after this longer period consolidation. And you can see very strong revenue growth the past few quarters. Earnings growth was there. It did disappear this most recent quarter, but you've gotten really nice estimates for 2022, and estimate revisions are up for both this year and the next. Nice increasing trend in the number of funds and 3 high quality funds in there as well. So that is DDOG. Moving on, we've got Ford Motor Company pulling back into the 21 EMA on below average volume. Great earnings this past quarter as it broke out of the stage 2 consolidation. And this is the first kind of consolidation after this base. So potentially a good spot to get in. You've got a DTL right here, as well as this tightness. So I'm looking for a push through that on volume off the 21 EMA. Great estimates for this year and the next. You've got the catalyst of the electric Ford F-150 coming in. A nice increase in number of funds recently. And as I said, really strong earnings this most recent quarter. So that is Ford. Unfortunately, no high quality funds, but the price action is very, very strong. Moving on, we've got Hubspot, another stock forming a high handle here, along with Crowd, Docusign, Shop. Not the greatest earnings growth, but you've got very strong sales growth the past few quarters. Decent estimates for this year and the next. Nice increase in the number of funds and a whole bunch of high quality funds investing in the stock as well. This is a stage 2B base, and I really like the look of this consolidation. So I'm looking for a push through this as well as 600 on volume. You did have a 2-2 reversal on Friday, so I'm watching for a follow through from that push upward. So that is Hubs. Next up, we've got another recent IPO, Mndy, forming a really strong move here since its IPO here, and forming a potential IPO base, a stage 1 IPO base with a standard pivot of 237.5. The depth is only 12%. I love the kind of upside reversals here. So if this does work, it's going to be a fast one. Definitely be ready, and this does carry a lot more risk because it is a recent IPO and the moves are going to be faster. So that is Mndy. A nice sales growth the past few quarters. No fund information just yet, but this could be a fast mover if you're into this type of setup. Moving on, we've got Nvst, and you can see very strong earnings this most recent quarter. Sales growth up 30% as well. Really strong estimates for this year and the next, and estimate revisions are up as well. A nice increase in number of funds and failed a contra fund with a position. And overall, after this strong move, this is a stage 2 base with a standard pivot of 46.52, but I'm watching for a move through this pivot right here, as well as the 44.5 pivots before the standard breakout through 46.52. So that is Nvst in a leading group at this point. And I love the price action, really nice upside reversals here, and this one at the bottom of the base low. So that is Nvst. And moving on, we've got Oprx forming a stage 1 consolidation with a standard pivot of 63.98. Overall, very strong earnings and sales the most recent 2 quarters. Decent estimates for the 2022 year, up 80%, and estimate revisions are up as well. Not really an increase in funds, although you do have an increase recently, and no high quality funds invested in the stock just yet. Looking at the chart, you can see a nice upside reversal bar on this Friday as a pullback towards the 21 EMA area. So I'm watching for a fall through, potentially a 2-2 reversal here as it forms out a handle within this consolidation. But overall, a very strong move up here, then a 39% deep base. And I like that it's a stage 1. These bars right here do give me a little bit of pause on the left side of the base, a little bit of liquidation potentially. But overall, it has recovered and broken out of this kind of base within the base, if that's what you want to call it. And so far, acting really well, pulling back on below average volume. So I do want to see very strong volume on any potential breakout. So that is Oprx. Moving on, we've got Pgny pulling back into the 50 SMA on not really huge volume and kind of tightening it up against the 60 level and that key moving average, kind of sandwiched in between the 21 EMA and 50 SMA, as well as this prior high at 59.56. Overall, very strong earnings, sales margins the past 3 quarters. Great estimates for this year and the next, with estimate revisions up as well. Nice increase in fund ownership, although you don't have any high quality funds at this point. But overall, I'm watching for a push through the 21 EMA or this high on volume, or potentially these highs as well could provide early entries or an undercut and reclaim of the 50 SMA and the 59.56 level. I like the confluence of those 2 significant levels. That is Pgny. And moving on, we've got RH forming a stage 2 cup with handle. Very strong earnings, sales, and margins the past 3 quarters. Great estimates for this year and the next. Nice increase in fund ownership and 2 high quality funds in there as well. And I'm watching for a push through these highs on volume before the standard cup with handle pivot at 719.77. Moving on, we've got Sgfy, Sgfy Health Inc. Overall, not the strongest earnings, sales, or margins the past 3 quarters. You do have a little bit of growth here the most previous quarter, and 37% sales growth the most recent quarter. But looking at the annual EPS estimates, this always catches my eye. For 2022, the growth is expected to be 367%. Estimate revisions, however, are down, so keep that in mind. Looking at the chart, there is some resistance right at the 30.75 level or so. You do see a downside reversal here recently. Overall, you've got 197 funds invested in the stock and 2 high-quality funds in there as well. What I'm watching for is a breakthrough this level on volume or potentially an undercut and reclaim of the 21 EMA and the 30 level. So that is Sgfy. And move on, we've got Shopify also forming a handle right at the stage 9 pivot. So this is pretty late stage, but this is definitely a good mega cap to be interested in if that's your preferred type of trade. Overall, very strong earnings, sales, margins growth the past 3 quarters. Not the strongest estimates for this year and the next. And you've got a nice increase in fund ownership and a whole bunch of high quality funds in there as well. I'm watching for a push through this DTL on volume. I like this upside reversal shakeout bar set on this day, the 25th. Moving on, we've got Snap forming a stage 2 base with a standard pivot of 73.59. A nice earnings, sales, and margins the past 3 quarters. Not supposed to be profitable within the next few years, but estimate revisions are up. Nice increase in fund ownership and 4 high quality funds invested into stock. I would like it to go sideways, pull back, shake some people out, have a bar like this, and then close high in the range like right here, potentially off the 21 EMA area. But after that, I'm looking for a 2-2 reversal and a push through these highs on volume. So that is Snap. And moving on, we've got Twilio forming a stage 3 consolidation with resistance around this level at around 400. Decent sales growth the past 4 quarters. Not the strongest estimates, but you've got nice fund ownership increases and a whole bunch of high quality funds in there as well. I'm watching for a push through this level on volume and trying to get in before the true breakout through the standard pivot of 457.3. So that is Twilio. Next up, we've got UPST, which if we go to a weekly chart, it's actually 3 inside weeks in a row. So it is a little bit choppy in here. You've got some downside reversal bars. So this is a tough one to trade. But if you can buy this on weakness, potentially an opening range breakout after it's gapped down with the overall market, and then you see a quick response upwards, that could be a good way to manage your risk, ideally under 1% if possible. Earnings last quarter, very strong, great estimates for this year and the next. Nice fund ownership already, but this is a very tough one to trade. So that's UPST, and next up we've got Upwork, and overall you can see very strong earnings, sales, margins the past few quarters. Not the greatest estimates for annual EPS this year and the next, but overall it is forming a stage 2 cup with handle with the standard pivot of 63.88, or actually this is just a cup at this point. It's potentially forming a handle here under this level here. A nice increase in fund ownership and 4 high quality funds in there as well. So what I'm looking for is for it to go sideways a few more days, then potentially break out through this high as well as these highs right here, getting before the true breakout at 63.88. Last on the list, we've got Zscaler, and you can see it's forming a stage 4 cup here with a standard pivot of 230.88. I'm watching for a push through this level on volume. Nice earnings and sales growth the most recent few quarters. Great estimates for this year and the next, although estimate revisions for 2022 are down. A nice increase in fund ownership and 4 high quality funds invested into this stock as well. So overall, that is my focus list for this week, and my top 3 setups are Crowdstrike, Docusign, as well as Upwork. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and let me know 3 stocks you're watching down below. And remember to leave a like down below and subscribe if you're new to the channel. And I'll see you guys in future videos. Thanks.